KSW 70 is Saturday night, and it's coming to you from the Atlas Arena in Vuj. Chris Hoekstra alongside Krzysztof Soszynski today to give you the preview show. You can catch all the action from start to finish on KSWTV.com, as well as selected regions on Viaplay. Well, Krzysztof, we're kicking it off in the catchweight division. It's actually a really interesting fight between Łukasz Rajewski and Francisco Barrio, a potential striker versus grappler matchup, man.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of the Rajewski brothers, as you know. I always talk about them every time they're on the card. So anytime you get a chance to see one of the brothers who's just the highest level of kickboxing you can ever get on an MMA event. So super exciting. And anytime one of the Rajewski brothers fights, man, it's going to be, no matter what, win, lose, or draw, these guys put on a show. So it should be a really fun one. And like you said, striker versus grappler, a potential great start to the card.
So Barrio may be looking to get inside. We saw him in previous fights. Really exciting guy with some improving boxing. So a fun way to kick things off. We'll roll on. It's the middleweight division. Albert Ajimakovsky will be facing off against Tommy Quinn. It's a rematch. It was a fight that Ajimakovsky won via TKO on paper last time, but in retrospect, it was ruled a no contest. What do you think here? Is the pressure on for Ajimakovsky? Is he the favorite?
I definitely think so. I just remember from that fight, Tommy Quinn took so many shots. Just his style of just keeping the hands down around his chest, right around his chin, and he, very exciting fighter. Don't get me wrong, and well-rounded as well. But I think just took too many shots in that fight. And Ajimakovsky, if he does the same thing as he did in that first fight, it should be it should be a win for him.
All right, well, it's happening in Vuj. It was on home territory for Ajimakovsky last time, so I'm really excited for that one. And, Tommy Quinn, he wants to be able to go out there and perform. All right, we'll move on. It's the return at strawweight of Anita Bekus. Really impressed with her last time. We saw 3 hard rounds. I thought she might be undersized in that last fight, but she really proved to be able to hold out a pace that her opponent couldn't match for 15 minutes. A last-minute opponent change, though. Roberto Zocco is coming in. What do you make of this one? How will it play out?
Yeah, well, just remember how Anita Bekus was just stone cold in her first debut. Usually when you're making a debut on a huge event, you think you get some first fight jitters and things like that, but she didn't. And I was very impressed with that. So coming into this fight and thinking, okay, it's a last minute change, she might get a little nervous and stuff. I don't think so. I think she's going to come out same exact way, guns blazing. She is taking on someone who's got 3-4 submission wins on her record. So it could be a potential a grappling kind of a striker matchup, but I think Bekus will do the damage she needs to get this win.
All right, well, an opportunity for Zocco, though, to come in on short notice and steal the show. Absolutely. Rolling on, a lot of fans have been really intrigued by this one. Back at middleweight, Radoslav Pachuski is taking on Jason Wilness. Both guys are undefeated in MMA, 3-0, plays 2-0. But Jason Wilness is a former Glory and It's Showtime world champion, an incredible Dutch kickboxer. And Pachuski has had 150-plus fights in kickboxing. He's got a couple of titles in Poland, a wealth of amateur experience. This should be fun while it lasts.
That's what I'm thinking. I remember last card we had same thing, that top level strikers. I believe they opened up the card or something like that, right? So yeah. This is another one. I mean, high level kickboxing, bringing into jumping into MMA, potential for fireworks, potential for a knockout of the night. Can't get any better than that for KSW 70. That's for sure.
And I look at this fight and I see guys who have that kind of decision-making in kickboxing coming into MMA. You think they'll stand? And do you think it's one of those fights where one mistake, one punch, one knee, one kick, one elbow could be a major, major factor?
Oh, definitely. I agree with you on that. All it takes is one little mistake, especially at that high level when you're that skilled in such a in a mixed martial art, in a sport. It's literally hit and miss. It's one little move, and next thing you know, you're out. One hand down a little lower than it's supposed to, and then you're out. So yeah, absolutely. Potential for, like I said, potential for a knockout of the night for sure.
And I love the fact that we get to see so many proven finishes on the card, and that will be no exception. At light heavyweight, we see the return of Damian Pivovarczyk. He's taken on Bartosz Leszko. I'm intrigued by this one. Pivovarczyk has had a couple of insane submission finishes, but it's not been without some turbulence. He took some damage in those fights. He is undefeated, maybe the favorite here, but Leszak is a multi-time medalist, world, European, and Polish medalist in karate. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen here, but I can say for sure I don't see it going the full 3 rounds.
Yeah, see, for me, it's just the size difference. Anytime you get, middleweights jumping up to like heavyweight, like Leshko is, or light heavyweight jumping up to heavyweight, there's a big difference in the smaller guys. The power, the speed, the knockout, the hips, all that's the strength. It's a huge challenge for a middleweight going up to light heavyweight. So that's the key thing for me in this fight is and can people Vodchuk just keep his reach 6'6" against a 6'2" guy? That the reach length is going to be there for him. Can he keep his opponent at bay and just dominate like he's been dominating his previous opponents? It's a very exciting matchup, but I don't know. I think that size difference, that strength difference is going to definitely show in this fight.
Well, definitely. I mean, the division is wide open here, and we could maybe see a potential star in the making with this one. So I really love it because, again, it's a fight with a finishing prospect, with a clash of styles. Then heavyweight, another rematch. Mariusz Pudzianowski will be taking on Izu Ugono. I have a lot of questions about this matchup. I don't necessarily have any answers. In my head, the predictions, they could go either way for these guys. What do you make of this one? Redemption for both.
I personally believe that Izu just jumped into the sport a little too quickly and got his first fight in. You know what I mean? I don't think he had enough time to completely understand this whole game. It's such a different game than boxing. I think anybody who dominates his opponent and gasses out as he's doing that, I don't think he's prepared really for such a jumps from sport to sport. And I think having this extra year and what is it, about 2 months now that he's got since that fight, I think he will come in completely prepared. I don't think his cardio is going to do him wrong this time, and he's got potential to. Well, it's kind of like a make it or break it fight for him if you really think about it. Being a superstar in boxing and coming to MMA, we're expecting something big from him, and he's got to showcase his skills in this one for sure.
And Samochuk, he last time lost to Kita. I remember that fight. I
Yeah.
remember there was an uppercut in there, just a beautiful timed punch from Kita. But he wants to prove that last fight against Ugono wasn't a fluke. So again, he's coming off a loss too. Can he do it again?
Oh, for sure. He's got the skill sets. I'm just kind of concerned about his kind of a mindset. You know what I mean? Like, to me, he looked a little nervous against Kita, and it didn't look himself. Like I've seen him train before. I've watched some of his sparring sessions and things like that on video and things like that, and he looks really, really good. It could be just the makings of just a little different mindset, maybe not as well prepared in your mind as you should be. But he's got the tools to do this, and if he comes in with the right mindset and prepared well, he's definitely got a chance for this one for sure.
All right, we continue. Light heavyweight, Ivan Urslan taking on Rafael Kianchuk. Again, we mentioned it previously with the other light heavyweight matchup. It's a division that's wide open. And you got a feel for Ivan Urslan. He's had some canceled fights, but you take a look at this one, you take a look at the MMA math, you look at their tape and their performances. It's one of the best match fights on the card. It's a very even fight. They're both power punchers who have a great ability to defend the takedown.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This is probably the most even matchup we have on this card, and I'm so stoked for this because these guys know what's at stake. There's a potential title on the line if whoever performs, at their abilities in this fight, and it's such an even fight. Both power hitters, well-rounded in all the aspects. So really exciting matchup for KSW. And like I said, like you said, potential title elimination bout in the makings.
Do you think one of these guys tries to point fight, or are we going to see a slugfest?
I think when you get to that level where the title is on the line, getting closer and closer to that, you're no longer swinging for the fences anymore. You gotta smarten up a little bit, and there's a lot more stake at the line. If you're a beginner, if you're with the organization and you're fighting for the first time, second time, you can definitely take some chances. With things like this, titles on the line, you really don't want to take too many chances. You want to play a smart game, smart fight, and because there's a lot of stake.
I love it. One to look out for at light heavyweight, co-main event of the evening. It's the return of Ricardo Purcell, and he's taken on Daniel Omilonchuk. I took the bus actually back to the airport after Purcell's last fight, which was against Michal Kita, possibly one of the greatest comebacks ever in KSW. I hope they release that fight on YouTube. How much fun is this fight? I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but Purcell has to be very, 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 very cautious because Omilonchuk is just as dangerous as they come.
Yeah, no, I mean, the chin of that man was incredible. Nikita punched him so many times, and yeah, it just it was an amazing fight, and I'm so looking forward to this one because now Parcel is taking on, I think someone even better. With Omilonchuk having world level fighters that he's fought against all over the world, high level all around. He's 40 years old now with what KSW 12 was his very first fight with KSW. It's a big fight for Parcel to take on, and with the damage he took in this last one, he cannot take the same damage because Omilonchuk is an absolute beast. That's for sure.
I agree. That was exactly my take. Purcell has probably the edge with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he made it look good for MMA. I mean, that's how he won his fight. He reversed the position and took out Kita after Kita punched himself out. But
Yeah.
I agree because Omilonchuk, I thought at first at his age there might be some ring rust or whatever, but he's been competing. The guy, I don't think necessarily will be uncomfortable come fight night, and I'm glad we got Purcell back quickly. He was wondering in that bus ride, am I going to come back quick? Will there be a quick turnaround? He's got what he's wished for, and he's been thrust right up to the co-main event.
Yeah.
Safe to say nerves won't be a factor for either guy?
No, definitely not. I think they've been in this position before. They fought high level caliber athletes all over the world. I just think that Omilonchuk is a little different fighter than Kita. He's got the grappling, he's got the ground game, he's got the wrestling background in him. So it's a little different. Kita's more of a striker, whereas Omilonchuk is more of a grappler. So I do think that if Omilonchuk does ever end up on top in this fight, I think it's going to go a little differently for Purcell than with Kita.
I agree. Omilonchuk, a UFC veteran, a Polish legend of MMA. Great to have him back in KSW. And Purcell, a former Chelsea FC goalkeeper, right? I mean, what a story.
Right.
Was catastrophically injured, had some injuries, couldn't continue with football, and he's made himself a professional MMA co-main eventer here at KSW 70. All right, the main event.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. The era of the super fight is alive and well. KSW 70 will see Mariusz Pudzianowski take on Michal Materla. Materla going up in weight. Pudzianowski, he wants challenging, exciting marquee fights, and he's definitely got one here against Materla.
Yeah, no, super exciting matchup. I mean, I'm a big fan of both these guys. I mean, two pure, Polish legends. Super exciting. There is definitely a huge size difference in this one. But also I think there might be a little bit of a just a skill set advantage as well from Materla, from the other side of things, just being a little faster, probably striking is a little bit better, probably in a grappling game. I mean, he's a legend on the ground, so we all know well what he can do when the fight goes to the ground. So for me, there's two questions. Question number one is, can Materla stay off his back? Because I think with Pujan and just the size difference, having Pujan on top of you, it's just not a fun thing. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how much skill you have, man. That strength has to feel, you know what I mean? If you look at Uras, right? I mean, he felt that strength and he was under him several times and just couldn't get up from it. So can Materla, if there ever fight ever goes there, can Materla, get up from that? And vice versa is, can Pujan stay on his feet and not on his back? Because we know what Materla can do, what Michal Materla can do on top of you. Seen it time and time again. Personally witnessed it myself being in the corner of Jay Silva. So I know him very, very well. And yeah, super exciting matchup. It's very intriguing, there is a huge difference in power as well. I do think, I think that, when you're fighting somebody who's, 40, 50 pounds heavier than you, the power is definitely going to be there for Pujan. So it's just, can he land that strike? What
I
about you?
agree.
What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think one of the biggest keys is staying off the back for both guys because we've seen what's happened in some of the recent fights. So you mentioned the crucifix from Materla or the top control against Uras or even Erko Yun for Pudzianowski. But it's interesting, right? Materla's on a 2-fight run. Pudzianowski's on a 4-fight streak. My question to you is this. Is there any downside for either guy in this fight? Is there any major risks career-wise, or is it only upside given the fact that there is a huge difference? They've been in drastically different weight classes for the majority of their careers.
No, you know what? I think this is a fight that I think both of them wanted. They both want super fights. I think they're at that age now where their career is coming down to an end as well. So why risk it and fight somebody who's not, at the caliber as far as the namesake goes and lose, where you can fight, another legend and make some really, really good money. The pay-per-view buys are going to go through the roof on this one. The arena is going to be packed. And that's all thanks to this main event, putting these two guys together. So, I mean, I don't think anybody has anything to lose. I think for me, it's more about the performance inside. Regardless if you win or lose, I'm looking forward to the performance. Like if this is going to be a 10-second fight, then yeah, we're going to be a little, but if this is one of those fights, it's gonna be exciting from both sides, kind of like what we've seen with Uras and Pudzianowski. The emotions, the emotional side of things, because that was huge emotions for everybody. If we can get to see this again, everyone's going to come out of there with a smile on their face for sure, no matter who wins or loses.
All right, prediction time. KSW 70, Saturday night, the main event, Michal Materla taking on Mariusz Pudzianowski. It's a super fight. Soszynski, give me your pick and tell me why.
Yeah, I just think Materla's skill sets. I know he's been down many times, but he always gets back up. He's just one of those guys who he'll bend, but you can't break him. And I just don't think that Pudzianowski's got the skill set and it's got that conditioning to break Materla. I think anytime you go in deep waters, Materla always going to come out. And I think just Materla maybe in the late in the second round, maybe with a takedown or something, some ground and pound, and the fight will be finished that way. What about you, Chris? What do you think?
I'm going to go with Materla too, and I'm going to throw this out there, though. You look at this fight, you might quickly say this guy has it for sure, but then you look at what the other guy's performing like as of now in 2022, and you can't count the other guy out. But I'm going to go Materla, and I'm going to actually disagree with you, though. I don't think it happens on the ground. MMA fights start on the feet. I feel like Materla will have a hand speed advantage, and I want to take a look and see if he looks to set up the right hand. I think that could be the beginning of major troubles if he finds his mark early and plays with the timing. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Pudzianowski gets on top and takes him out. So one to look out for, KSW 70 this Saturday night, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too, man. Super exciting, man. I remember 69 was insane, and this one has the same makings for an exciting matchup. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, my friend.
And you, brother. So, Krzysztof Soszynski, Chris Hoekstra will be alongside the Sensei Will Vanders on the call. We look forward to seeing you in Vuj from the Atlas Arena on Saturday night. You can check it out on kswtv.com. Of course, selected regions on Viaplay. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, probably on TikTok somewhere too. And we look forward to staying with the conversation. Until then, we'll see you next time and have a good one. Catch you in Vuj.